Welcome back, everybody, to Unconditional Surrender, the Me, Myself, and I playthrough of the main event scenario. Game is published by GMT Games, designed by Salvatore Vasta. We are getting ready to go into the Western operations phase of May 1943, and it is fair everywhere. So the Western allies are actually going to try and do some things. It's a futile hope, but I'm going to go ahead and run a couple bombing runs just to see if I get lucky. The U.S. will fly in. There'll be a net of -4. The Germans are a +2. So, I need them to roll like a 1, and I need to roll a 6. But they have to oppose me in order to keep me from getting a bombed marker. So, Germans roll. A 3 plus 2 is a 5. Best I can get is a 2. So I take 2 sorties. And he takes 1. And then the British will try to get through. They're at a net of -3. And the Germans now are only +1. And the Germans roll. 5 plus 1 is a 6. Best I can get is a 3. That's 2. I could get a 1, and I think he gets like 3 sorties. So I better roll. 5 minus 3 is a 2. So that's 2 sorties. And he takes a sortie. Now, I could do it again, just to try and run his sorties up, but then my sorties would be up really high. And it doesn't seem like I'm going to get through. It's going to be poor weather next turn. I want to have my sorties down. I have a better chance of hitting things in poor weather. Or do I just want to go crazy? Should I go crazy? Let's go crazy. Americans are going to fly again. Best they can get's a 1. The Germans are at a regular die roll. So if they're all 1 or 2, the Americans get through. They're going to Dusseldorf. Germans roll a 3. They didn't roll a 1 or 2, so... but they take a sortie for that. And so do the Americans. And in the British, they're going to fly again. The Germans now are at -1. The British are at like -5, so they can... best they can get's a 1, but let's see if we sneak off a bombing hit here. And the Germans roll at a -1. A 5 minus 1 is a 4. They do not. That's going to be 2 sorties on me and another sortie on him. Oops, not that way. wrong airplane. There. What that does is the Germans will be able to clear that down to 2, but then he'll only be at 0. And if we get poor weather, then he'll be at -2. I'll be at minus ridiculous, but I still might get a couple bombing hits. So just trying to run up the German sorties because they only have 1 airplane defending. And I have the economy to rebuild this stuff, so it's worth it for me to do that. The only other thing I really have here is I'm going to activate the UK 8th Army for 2. And, before I do that, before I activate that, I activate the 9th Air Force and attack the Italians. The Italians are at -2, and I'm at +1 because I'm an American airplane. So we should do that first. The Americans are +1. They roll 5 plus 1 is a 6. The best they can get is a 4. So we have to roll to see if they get a 1. 6 minus 2 is a 4. 6 to a 4, just refresh. 6 to a 4 is a DR2, so they take 2 sorties. It's that infamous 2-for-1 split that I'm always looking for. And then the Americans will go again. They're at a straight 0. Whoops, other way. And the Italians now are at -4. So the best they can get's a 2. Americans roll a 5. And 2 is a 0. That's 5 only gives you 2 sorties. So the Americans take 2 sorties, and we negated the Italian aircraft. Then we go and we attack the 8th Army gets activated. It will call out for a mobile attack against the 9th here. Like that. So we are +1 because we're British. We're +2 because we're armor. We will go to combat commitment here in a minute. just so that you know, it's -2 to go across the strait and -1 for the hilly terrain. So my +3 is basically a 0 right now. So we're going to add in, we go to combat commitment, everybody commits. The Italians are definitely going to be throwing in their tanks marker, and the British will be throwing in their airplane. There's nobody to oppose it, so it just takes a sortie. And that gives the Italians, start off at a 0, they get +2. The British start off at 1 for British, 2 for armor, 2 for air, and then take off 2 for the strait and 1 for the mountains. So it's a +2 to a +2. And that costs the British 2 for the strait, 2 for the hex, 1 for the enemy unit. Cost them 5. So they only have 5 movement points left. They essentially can do this attack twice if they don't get stuffed in the first one. So first attack for the British, they roll a 5. +2 is a 7. And the Italians roll a 5. +2 is a 7. So that's a diamond. So the Italian tanks marker goes back on the turn track. Won't be seeing that again until next turn. And then the British can go ahead and try it one more time. It costs them 5 movement points. They're down to 0. They will be +2 to a 0 this time. So maybe a little better chance of pulling it off. Who knows? And the British roll a 1. +2 is a 3. Well, if they roll a 1, I get a DR result. Nah, they rolled a 5. So 3 to a 5 is just an AS. It was a nice thought. It would have been nice to kind of dislodge them out of the boot and then, or out of the toe, and be threatening to run up the rail line instead of having to invade to take Taranto or something. But that didn't work. So, and that was another sortie on the airplane. There we go. And that is it. He goes up 2 to supply these 2. He goes up 2 to supply these 2. Oh, I suppose I could have moved the American. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they can actually sit on their fleet in case I decide I want to move them away. I think I'm going to put the aircraft on top, though. So that's just a sort of a whatever move. Oh, I was going to do one other thing. Sorry. Do the Germans have their... They don't have their surface attack markers. So this and this activates. That's 2 more from the British. I'll go get those in a minute. They go 1, 2, 3 into 9, and then land in Cardiff. The BEF is done. It was 3 into 9, so... Oh, I did this wrong. The British actually moved this convoy into Eastern North America first. Sorry, I'm doing things out of order. That's a sortie. And then the Americans, well, they can't land the unit here, so they land there, but then they fly out and come into Plymouth for their extra sortie. Reason being is I like to have the American convoys be the ones doing the invading. The reason for that is because they don't cost me production points to reset. So if they do an invading, invade a hex, capture a port, and then they land there with the British fleets, whether it's British or American fleets, doesn't matter, but if it's American convoys, it's 1 sortie for the invasion, and then they're 1 sortie for the supply, and then they immediately come down to 0. So they can supply in France cheaper than the British. Usually end up having to use a British one or 2, but not right away. And that was 2 more off the British, so they're down to 24. Okay, now that's it. Or do we want to? Yeah, I think we'll just say that's it. Oh, that's one thing I wanted to check. I'm going to zoom out for a second, because I wanted to do a little counting here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's see that. 47, 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it takes 3 sorties to get to Casablanca. How annoying. So. Oh, I don't have any. Yeah, and then. Oh, I could have just moved that fleet. That was dumb. Okay, I'm not paying attention. I left the 4th fleet there for no good reason. Then I supply that airplane out of here. So he takes a sortie to supply the airplane. Okay. Maybe that's where I should have put that British fleet instead of Eastern North America. Oh well. I don't have any units coming till September. That's when I get an armored unit. So yeah, I should have put the British down there. Guess I'll do it next turn. Alright, that's the West turn. I'm going to take a quick break. I didn't start my timer, so I need to see how much time that took me. So, I did all the supply, right? I did supply there. And I supplied the airplane here. And nobody else needs supply. So, yeah, okay. Take a quick stop here. I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to try to get at the Russians and the end of turn stuff in here because I'm not sure. Then again, there's a lot of attacks I might try to pull off with the Russians. So you know what? I think I'm going to break the turn here, even though it's only like 10 minutes long for the West. I was hoping to get like a retreat there, and then I could have done some more stuff up here in Italy. Because I don't have surprise attack markers, I really can't do a whole lot at this point. So I'll take it back. I'm going to call this the turn, so I have all my half hour possibly for the Russian turn. This is Unconditional Surrender. Me, myself, and I play through. This was the Western operations phase. Not a lot happened. If you like the videos, please subscribe. This is probably one most people are going to skip because nothing really happened. Other than I ran the German Air Force into a bunch of sorties along with myself. So the replacements phase will be where a lot of the important things happen for the Western Allies. Okay, so we'll call this the turn. We'll be back with the Soviet operations of May 1943 in the next video. See you soon. Bye-bye.